All right, welcome to another episode of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Dexter, Henry, Bryan, Fonseca here, and we have a guest this week, our second lady to join us here on the show. Amber Kountz, sports reporter at News 8 in Connecticut. She was kind enough to come all the way down, even though it's not that far, from Connecticut to join us. She also
the person who didn't have to drive out here.
I know, I didn't have to do the drive, right? But
I had to come down here.
You had to
pick up my bib.
And we'll get to why you had to come down here. We'll get to that in a second. She also is a researcher for ESPN, the magazine, and freelance writer. And she is going to run in the marathon, which is on Sunday here in New York City, which is a goal of mine to do someday. After I fully rehab my Achilles, that's a whole nother story.
It is?
That we'll get into. Yeah, I've always had that goal.
Why is this the first time I'm hearing about it?
Because I didn't care to share that with you.
Or you're lying.
This is my
Why would I be lying about that?
This is my question. Why do you want to run the New York City Marathon?
Because I like to do things where I'm pushing myself to do things that either my body hasn't done before or mentally I haven't done before. I just like doing stuff like that. So if it's something that is a fear, something I'd like to push myself to do. So the marathon's an intense challenge, 26 and a half miles.
Yes.
I know it's no joke. So yeah, I like to see if I could do it.
You didn't see what I was doing.
No, I didn't see it. Bryan probably was like, forget that. He doesn't believe me. I'm serious. I really want to do it, but it's not about me.
You gotta lay it down a year. You gotta be like, I want to do it this year.
And then
work up to it.
So my goal was to do it by the time I was 35. That is next year. So I don't think that's happening. I mean, it still can happen.
A
so you
solid
never
goal.
know.
Breaking news, Dexter finally revealed his age on the podcast.
Yeah. We'll talk about your age, youngin, in a second. So that's that. Amber is also a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, which is pretty interesting.
Read it the way I wrote it.
Here in this, a sorry Jacksonville Jaguars fan, which is what Bryan said.
Pause.
Sorry. She is, we'll get into this, a Deontay Wilder doubter, and she's a baseball hater.
Yes.
So we want to know all about this, why.
I told you.
She is this, what makes Amber Amber. But
can I just say that's like very negative? Like all three of those points were like
I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not write this. So this was not
1000%.
Oh god.
You're
setting me up to be a negative person.
You know what? I'm gonna have to agree with that. So I'm gonna reread it and say Jacksonville Jaguars fan, Deontay Wilder skeptic, and not a person who's not a huge fan of baseball.
See, and
that sounds better, right?
Yes.
See,
High five for that.
There you go.
This rings true to what I tell people when they ask about us. I always say between the two of us, Dexter's the nice person.
Yeah, I think I'm a pretty nice person. I think so.
I'm all right.
I already tell you, Halo is always hanging on top of it.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far.
I would put that.
Did you hear me before we started this podcast? The language I was using? All right, we ain't got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, Amber is a sports reporter at News 8 in Connecticut. You cover a lot of local sports like I do myself for News 12, so we have that in common. Talk to us about what you do at News 8 in Connecticut.
So right now I'm covering high school football. So it's football season. It's really big up in UConn. So every Friday night I'll do a package. So I like to focus on something upbeat, sort of like the student section or the band or something where I can kind of connect with the people that go to the games. And then I'll either grab highlights from those highlights, run over to another game, get highlights, and then come in with other sports anchors at the job, and we'll put together a show.
Our Friday nights are pretty similar in that regard. I do the same thing out in New Jersey, and it's pretty busy. And you know how the fans can be crazy. Insane with the high school football. Insane. Now, when this happens to me a lot, when you're walking along the sideline, how many times do people yell, "Hey, News 8! Hey," they don't even call you by your name. It's just like, "You're News 8 or you're News 12 or whatever." How much does that happen to you?
They won't even say News 8. They'd be like, "You can't get some of the fans? You can't get some of the fans?" And then the only thing I do is I just smile. And I don't say anything, and I just keep it moving. But, just getting the attention, them knowing that we're there is fine. I like it.
Everybody wants attention from journalists, and it's annoying sometimes being a journalist. That can be really annoying.
Sometimes you just got to give it to them. Even if you don't use the footage, just pan over to them, say,
Yeah, I agree with that.
I do. Sometimes I don't even hit record. I shouldn't even say that, but I don't even hit
giving
record.
Secrets out here.
They'll be like, "Yo, you gonna put me on TV?" Like,
yeah. Nah.
Unless they do something really wild, like jump in front of a player at the football game, or be the sister that ran up to their brother when they scored the touchdown.
That's a bit much.
Yeah.
That's a little too much. I don't know about that. But Bryan, you're not in that world of covering the Friday night football.
No.
You cover
By
everything else.
By choice.
Well, okay, fair enough.
Let's move on to ESPN. So people may have heard that in the title, and they're like, "Wow, oh my gosh, he's with ESPN." So, what about the stuff that you do there? And particularly, what I want to know is the writing portion, because you did do something recently that I want you to talk about that got a lot of attention in the boxing world.
So I'll start. I'm a researcher at the magazine. So basically, everything that a writer for the magazine brings in, we have to fact check it. We have to make sure everything's accurate. And the writer will come to us and kind of gather information. So that's our baseline of what we do. But the great thing working at ESPN is there's always opportunities to do other things. So I would say I'm not a huge boxing fan, but I follow boxing. I kind of grew up around boxing gyms, so I've always been involved, and I love boxers. That sounds so wrong, but I think boxers are I think they're just so humble, and they're a different type of athlete, and they're just different. The perspective on sports is different. So I like being around them. Yeah. So I had an opportunity to do a story on Cordell Booker.
Yeah.
And he's from Stamford, Connecticut. He came down to our gym in New Haven and sparred, and that's where I kind of met him, and that's kind of the opportunities that I've had being in the boxing world. And now I get to write more for ESPN Boxing.
Yeah, see, boxing.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. Boxing is kind of different in that regard, where in terms of and we've talked about this because we both cover it, and I've told you about this before. You're very in there personally with them.
Yeah.
It's not a sport where you have to go through a lot of PR people to get to the team or whatever the case may be. They're kind of their own guy, and yeah, they have their groups. But yesterday, at the media workouts for a fight that we're going to get to later on.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that fight.
But everybody's like Sean Porter, Deontay Wilder, Bermain Stavern, they're kind of just there. And you could just go up to them, Amanda Serrano, just talk to them, get video, do what you got to do, go to the next person. It's very personable that way. And it makes it one of the more unique experiences to cover. So. And
they want it.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I think boxing has kind of come back up a little bit.
So you're not in that camp of people that think the sport was dying. Bryan and I have had this conversation.
No, the sport was dying.
You did? So you were okay.
No,
so
BBC helped it.
Yeah.
The sport was dying. Yeah. There wasn't easy access for people to get fights, and then people weren't getting the fights that they wanted. And I think recently we've seen a lot of really good matchups with fighters.
Yeah.
But I don't know what point I was going to make, but I'll agree with you. It's easier to get to the boxers, and they want that recognition.
Well, when you don't know what to say, agreeing with me is a safe bet.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far. But the access, you're right about that. And just having covered boxing in my career, the access is unparalleled. You will never. There's no sport I think like it that you'll find where you'll get that access. So I think for young journalists out there, we can say, hey, if you're looking for a sport to maybe try to break in and make an in, boxing's good because you can maybe learn how to get good quotes, learn how to interview better, and things of that nature.
MMA too on that same note.
Yeah, and that too. I'm not a big MMA guy as much as Bryan is.
I'm not a huge MMA guy myself.
But
he used to be hardcore about it.
Who, him?
No, me.
Oh, you.
I used to be hardcore for 1 or 2 years.
That's not long enough to be hardcore.
No, but I used to watch it religiously. I used to watch
3 to be hardcore.
Well, it depends.
Okay, I give it. No.
I was about to break it down seriously.
But for 2 years, for example, I'll bring this up. My sister.
Yeah.
She was a die-hard Jeter fan. For about 2 or 3 years, she sat down with her Yankee jersey every night and watched the Yankees game. And she can rattle off everything that happened in those 2 seasons.
But she fell off?
But she fell off.
So is she a Yankee fan?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
But
not to get off subject, it's just if you dedicate yourself to something, even if it's for 1 or 2 years, that deserves a little bit of recognition.
I don't know if I want to call it die hard, but
okay, I'll give it to you. I'm using the wrong terminology.
Maybe.
More on baseball later. Also.
Well, yeah, more on baseball later. We'll get to that. You are from Connecticut. What's it being like from Connecticut? Because you're from that state that's kind of up there, but New York is just so much better. New York is just way better than me being a Brooklyn guy. But you have New York roots.
Yes, I do.
And you have some West Indian roots.
Yes, I do.
Eastern Caribbean roots, which I like.
Barbados.
Team Barbados and Grenada, Eastern Caribbean. But let's get back to Connecticut.
Oh my goodness, this is a setup. But keep going.
Connecticut.
100%.
What makes Connecticut great? Is it great? Can we make Connecticut great again? What's up with Connecticut?
people ask me this all the time as if I'm supposed to change myself. I was born and raised in Connecticut.
Like they press you.
Yes, people have said like, what's in Connecticut? And I'll be like, there's nothing. It's not New York.
So you don't like being the
Nothing to you.
spokesperson for your state? You don't take pride in
I'm the
being from
spokesperson
Connecticut?
of my state. I didn't know.
I mean, amongst the people you know, apparently, like.
Do you rep hard for Connecticut?
If I'm in Connecticut, because you guys don't know this, but Connecticut has New Haven,
Yes.
which claims Southern Connecticut, which
Yes.
claims New York,
Yeah, I
and then you have Hartford and up
They claim New York.
that
Wait,
claims
what?
Boston.
What claim? They claim.
Meaning, since we're like in between Boston and New York, there's some people that just claim New York or Boston, like New York teams or Boston teams. Not that they're where you're from, but like team-wise.
But the team she's talking about.
But they're teams.
So you'll see a
I
lot
was
of people from
about-
like New Haven who will be Yankee fans.
Yes.
But if you're from
Yeah.
Hartford or
That makes
North,
sense.
you're going to be a
You're
Red
gonna
Sox
be-
fan.
I
or
thought
Patriots
there was
fans.
people in your state talking about, yo, I'm a New Yorker and things like that.
No, that would never
Yeah,
fly.
did,
That would never
did you
fly.
notice how he was like really about
I
to
know,
jump
I
in?
was
Yo,
like-
I was
can't
about to
have
go
it.
Like-
full New York.
No, I wasn't saying that at all. But if you're from Connecticut, New Haven people, I wouldn't say there's a beef because there's not a real beef, but there's
beef.
They don't get along with Hartford people. Like,
No,
there's
let it be beef.
People stick up for where they're from.
That's interesting.
But
That's beef.
you've been to New Haven. You know the
I
parties
have
are
been
better
here.
than in Hartford. You know.
I have. Like I told you before, I was like, I have a friend from Springfield, Massachusetts, and we've spent some time going out to New Haven. And Hartford, I've spent some time in Hartford. Hartford's Hartford. I'm going to leave it at that.
But if I can say something, if you've never been to Connecticut, you come to
Which
New
we have.
Haven.
New Haven's
Because
a nice town.
it is beautiful.
Okay.
You have Yale, and of course, Yale is
Yep.
beautiful. Has that old feeling, colonial feel.
I'll pass
but
on
then
that.
you do have a little party scene downtown.
New Haven's all right.
I'm
It's
not a big
okay.
partier.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm not
No,
a big
but you don't have
partier.
the party. There's bar areas. There's
But
chill
you just
areas.
mentioned partying.
Can I
She was
reach
trying-
out to all
Dan,
the
she's
people?
trying to let people know
What did they
what they
like?
can
I'm just giving you a hard
To
time.
have fun. I mean,
Can't even curse on here. Just say what I want to say.
So you're from Connecticut, and another thing we brought up before.
Oh, yes.
But you are a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. This is the second Jaguars fan I've ever met in my life.
Really? This is the
Yeah,
first
I've
for
actually
me.
met a Jaguars fan in my life before, but he lived in Jacksonville sometime. You have no ties to Jacksonville that I am aware of.
Pause.
Oh, what?
Pause.
Okay.
Let me tell you my roots here. I was born in Connecticut, and then we spent some time in Jacksonville. So when I
Sorry
was
to hear
in
that.
kindergarten first and a little bit of second, I was in Jacksonville. So the first NFL game I ever went to, I went with my dad.
Right.
We went to a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, and ever since then, they've been my team.
How tough is that?
Thank you for asking.
What do you mean? How tough is that?
You guys, the last time you've been in the playoffs was
You have Blake Bortles as your quarterback.
your
What do you
quarterback's one of the
mean?
worst quarterback draft picks in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
A lot of talent's been wasted. Your owner
is
gave money to
frustrating.
Trump.
Well, how
Okay.
much do you care
Well,
about?
where do we start? I mean,
That
where do
sounds-
we start?
I mean,
So-
you're not
I just
You're
caught
not
that
the-
last thing you threw
you're
in
not the
there. I wasn't
Browns?
prepared for that.
But it's been rough. That's all I'm saying.
It has been rough, and I'm not gonna say it's been easy because I'm loyal. And I kind of like being in this situation because then I get to see all the people jump on the bandwagon. When we go to the Super Bowl this year, I don't want to hear nothing from nobody,
You
okay?
did not just say that.
Yes, I'm
You
gonna
did
throw
not
that out
just say
there.
that.
I'm gonna throw that. Listen, if we didn't have Bortles, right? I'm gonna throw like if we can get rid of Bortles, our defense is Super Bowl worthy.
He's kind of your quarterback. Yo,
Our
you know
defense
what?
is
I'ma
Super
back
Bowl
her up.
worthy.
I'm gonna back her up. Their defense is really good, and
We
I
have no
love their
offense.
skill.
Oh,
Hold on, pause. I love their skill position players. Leonard
Thank you.
Fournette, Marquise
But it
Lee,
doesn't
Allen Hurns, Allen
matter
Robinson.
if you don't have a quarterback that's competent
That's the thing.
to get you where you need to be.
That's
It's like
the
me
thing.
saying I'm a Knicks fan. Well, if they had Curry and Kevin Durant, they go to win
No,
the title
no,
this
but
year.
No,
that's
we
different.
don't
'cause
need
Jacksonville already has the players. I can't believe we're doing football
We just
analysis.
can't- exactly.
Jacksonville already has the players.
If we can
You
get
just
rid
need a
of
quarterback.
Bortles,
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you what your team could have done. They could have said no to Bortles,
And
and they
said
could have
yes
signed
to-
yes to Colin Kaepernick. But your
I ain't
owner,
been saying this.
gave money to Trump, and
And then locked arms.
even though he's a minority, and he gave that's just a whole nother.
I don't want to get into all that because
So let's
of course
get
it
in-
makes me very upset, and I wanted Kaepernick. Because if we had Kaepernick, I felt like we would have had all the pieces to go deep. Because there's no one in our division. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Deshaun is out. Boom. Texans out.
Yeah.
Colts been out.
Luck is on the IR for the year.
And then we only have
So
is
is Watson.
Tennessee, and I'm not really worried about them. So we're out of the division, And there's no team in the NFL right now that is dominant, that is taking the tee.
So
like, we only say about the Eagles or Kansas City.
I'm going to let Bryan get to his last question in the segment, but so you feel, this is just so we feel this way, and we felt this way in the show, but you feel Colin Kaepernick should have a job right now, and obviously your team would be an ideal fit for him.
Absolutely, yes.
How ridiculous do you think that is that he doesn't have a job right now?
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. We know he's being, we know that it's being finagled by the owners.
Well, you can say blackball.
I didn't know what I could say.
Well, she was gonna say something else, a word that I was thinking, but we don't have to go there either.
No, but what happened was when I was at work, I'm sure you saw this whole thing about how he was gonna go to the Patriots. And it was like
yeah, okay.
But when I thought about that, I was like, out of all teams,
No.
Boston would do that. It's like,
No, they wouldn't.
that's not a real thing. But if that were to happen, that would be one of the most historic things to ever happen.
Boston would be so mad. There'd be so many people
yeah.
mad in the
That's
stands.
why I would like to do it.
They'd be angry.
It'd be mad awkward.
So
They
angry.
ask Tom Brady about that, and we're like, oh, we're just gonna play football, and they just ask him about Colin Kaepernick being his teammate, and they're gonna ask him all the questions. That'd be great.
That'd be great.
Matter of fact, Robert Kraft, do it.
Do it.
Sign him.
Let's see if Tom Brady hangs that "Make America Great Again" hat in his locker.
I think he stopped a long time ago because he's scared.
Yeah,
he knows what's up.
Anyway,
Yeah.
You know.
so you went to UConn. Spoiler alert.
Boo.
You went to Pitt.
That's right.
I went to a school that has nothing to do with either of y'all, so I want y'all two to fight about this. So y'all have a rivalry. We're
It's
talking
not
about
a
this.
rivalry.
Yes,
It was a rivalry.
we're calling it a rivalry
It
for the
was a
purposes of this
rivalry.
podcast.
wasn't.
And before we went on air, you two had an extensive beef.
Beef.
Discussion.
There's no beef.
I'm such a
because
trouble starter.
UConn is here. UConn at one point was
Hey,
here.
hey, that's beef. Look
Especially
at
for women's and men's basketball. We can't talk about football. We were here, so everyone else, we just not relevant.
Dexter.
Wait, we're not relevant.
I'm just trying to get under your
Dexter.
skin. I'm just trying to get under your skin.
What conference are they playing again?
I know. It's
The American Athletic Conference.
We messed up.
Yeah.
messed up.
Yeah. The conference where teams go to die.
Yes, seriously, it stinks. It used to be the Power 6, and now it's Power 5, and then we're dangling right here. We're not even dangling right there. We're here.
The only thing, just so the audience knows, the only thing that saves her, she's, went to UConn, but, she's Eastern Caribbean sister. So I gave us some love for that. She's okay with that. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little boxing, and I want to hear some thoughts that Amber has to say about Deontay Wilder. Some people say that she's a hater. I just want to know what she's got to say when we return on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. It ain't hard to tell where to get the latest merchandise from Backpack Broadcasting. Gear is now available via tee.pub. Visit the Backpack Broadcasting tee.pub online store to get shirts, hoodies, mugs, and phone cases. Represent your favorite Backpack Broadcasting shows, including the Sports Walk, Sideline Stories, and of course, the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Check out the special offers for our podcast listeners at http://t.pub/LIC/backpack. Get in the game with your official Backpack Broadcasting gear today. What's up, listeners? You know sometimes how it can be hard just to get from point A to point B. Now, when I have to get anywhere and I don't want to deal with the hassle of public transportation, it ain't hard to tell how I get around. I always make sure to use the best car service app in the game. I'm talking about Lyft. Lyft offers rides in minutes. All you have to do is download the Lyft app, request a ride, and you will be on your way quickly. Lyft is all about happy riders and happy drivers. Take a ride with them and you'll see why 9 out of 10 rides end up with a 5-star rating. Lyft always has amazing offers for new customers, and I'm here to tell our listeners about a great offer today. Lyft is currently offering free ride credit to Ain't Hard to Tell listeners. If you are new to Lyft, then you are eligible, and getting your credit is easy. All you have to do is download the app and use the promo code AHTTPOD to unlock your free credit today. Ain't hard to tell who has the best car app service, so use the code today and ride out loud with Lyft. All right, we're back on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Dexter Henry and Bryan Fonseca, this troublemaker, trying to start a fight between Pitt and UConn alums. And we're joined here by Amber Kountz, sports reporter at News 8 Connecticut, researcher, writer with ESPN, lover of the Jacksonville Jaguars, but also a lover of boxing. And so is Bryan, so am myself, and you guys have had some conversations about Deontay Wilder, which I told Bryan not to let me know about before this because I just wanted to experience it and what you guys had to say about it, and then I'd react to it. Yes. So Bryan,
you wanted front row for this? Yeah,
Bryan can take it away from here because I want to hear what it is you guys discussed.
I don't like the way you're looking at me.
Listen, I'm waiting because I know it's a setup.
Before we even get to Deontay Wilder, we were texting about this for weeks because we knew that you were obviously going to come. But you and I have been texting like, yo, you would say something and I'll be like, save it for Thursday. You would say something else, I'll be like, save it for Thursday.
I feel like somebody's about to go in.
Okay, well, she might. But okay, so let's finally get into it. So I wrote a Deontay Wilder piece coincidentally this week.
Yep.
His fight is coming up this weekend. He is going to face Bryan Stavern for the second time because Luis Ortiz, who's a heavyweight champion, who he was going to fight, failed the drug test, and this is the third time that Deontay Wilder is going to fight a top flight heavyweight, and they get caught for doping beforehand. So I wrote the story about Deontay Wilder, how he came out at the press conference, and he was basically, lending voice to all that. Him and Lou DiBella were speaking his case, telling their side of the story because he gets unfair backlash for, just people think that he fights these soft heavyweights or over-the-hill guys by choice, when really there are guys that he's trying to fight that are better, and they get caught doping, and then they're out of the picture, and Deontay Wilder still wants to fight him. He jokes that, hey, it would be man versus machine, and I will still win, yada, yada, yada. That brings us full circle to here. I wrote that, and what we were talking about was, you're smiling already.
Somebody's about to go in on something.
No, I'm not. At that point, I'm not.
So, Deontay Wilder.
Ooh, we had to take it out. Okay, all right, get ready.
I'm comfortable this way. But Deontay Wilder, so you aren't a fan, right? Am I misrepresenting you there?
Yes, I'm. Okay, fine. I'm not a fan.
Well, okay. Wait. Because I got to jump in with my question.
Yes, please.
Why is Amber why are you not a fan of Deontay Wilder?
I'm not sold on him yet.
Okay.
In terms of
this is reporter talk now.
In terms of you don't think that he's great as people may say that he is?
Yes, correct.
Okay, understood. Just wanted to make sure I had that. Go
and
ahead.
I think that he gets unjustly criticized because of those things. I feel like he's the best heavyweight in the world right now. Hey, there we go. Now we got we got somewhere.
For those who can't see her face, that was the biggest eye roll.
So let's get into it.
Eye roll was just
I think
sour.
to me, he is the best heavyweight in the world. It has been since he won the title. He's 38-0, 37 knockouts. I thought he would have beat Klitschko. I think he'll beat Anthony Joshua. I think he'll beat Joseph Parker. I think he'll beat all these dudes.
I might be with Team Amber on this one.
I don't care
because I don't. That's fine. I don't think he'll beat Anthony Joshua.
I think he will. Oh my God! I absolutely.
You can't go off of his last fight. His last fight, Joshua didn't look great.
Why not?
I think sometimes you fight down to your opponent.
Deontay Wilder didn't fight great in his last fight either.
Neither.
He was losing to Gerald Washington and then he knocked him out.
He hasn't looked good since the
That's fine.
in my opinion.
That's fine.
He's had five.
He got this. It don't matter.
Literally, that's all he's got.
No, I disagree. He's actually gotten better as a boxer. I feel like since.
But what this you know what my whole thing with all of this here is? Who cares? It's the heavyweight division. The heavyweight division has been whack forever.
There's excitement behind.
Here's the thing, though.
Who has really impressed you in the heavyweight division that I can say, you're saying he is the best heavyweight in the world, and that's fine. And by him holding the title, I cannot say that you're wrong.
But here's my thing with him.
But the whole division is weak. I don't even really pay attention to the division of boxing. That's a big problem that's hurt boxing, the heavyweight division.
I think it's somewhat coming up now.
Yeah.
I think Joshua's good. I think Joshua's really good. You don't like him?
Joshua is a complete package.
I agree. I think he's a better fighter than
Deontay Wilder would knock him out if they fought.
That's if he doesn't get knocked out first.
No. Deontay Wilder has a better chin than Anthony Joshua has, because although he's been rocked a few times, I've seen Anthony Joshua go down to an old Vladimir Klitschko in his last fight who was 40 plus.
We haven't
You took some hits in that
we
fight.
haven't seen Deontay go against really big and bad punchers.
He's
Let's
tried.
Be honest.
He's tried.
No. So that's where I come to Deontay's defense. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
say he's running scared, he's cherry picking. No, he's not. He's asking. He has an easy pass, basically. He's had an easy pass, and he's coming up to the toll, and he's saying, listen, I want to pay this toll. I want to get through to New Jersey. And literally, you have Luis Ortiz
Right.
and all these other, what are the two other guys? Publican?
They're both from Germany. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it. The two other guys.
Bad job.
And they're like, no, we'll
can't.
pay the
You
toll.
want to look
for
at the
him.
names? I mentioned in the
Right,
story.
but he can't get a fight with them. What you're saying, Amber, and I agree. It's
Which is
not. He should
frustrating.
not be penalized or criticized for
Should
that.
not.
I'm in agreement with both of you on that.
Okay, let's.
My issue is not
Yes,
with that.
the fundamentals. Let's go.
So
Because I know where you're going.
here's my thing. I feel like Deontay. Now, pause when I say this because I know it's going to be instant reaction. I think Deontay Wilder is a superficial superstar. Not for him. He is not He's not superficial. The people who watch him are superficial because they look at him. He is redefining the heavyweight division. He's not a slugger. He's not a big boy. He is beautifully cut. He's 6'7". He has a 83-inch reach. He is beautifully carved for the heavyweight division.
It sounds like you like some Deontay Wilder.
He's a beautiful specimen, if I had to say
Hey,
that.
hey,
But
I'm
my
not mad at you.
point is, he's not a skilled boxer.
What skills do you feel like he's lacking in the ring?
He has no balance. Zero. He has no balance. He has zero balance. I don't know anybody who can argue that with me. He
So
loads up on his right hand because his right hand is. I'll give it to you. He's broken his arm
He's
twice.
got a strong right
and
hand.
tore
There's no
his
doubt.
Which is a
bicep
concern.
and still has the same amount of power. That is incredible. But
Yeah.
besides that, he doesn't have great defense. When
I
he
agree- I
throws the
agree with
right
that.
hand,
That I
he's-
agree with.
I'm not denying
he's
it either.
unstable. He leaves himself open, and he hasn't gone against a good counter puncher or someone he can go toe to toe with like a Joshua.
I agree, and I think when he fights Joshua, because it's going to
He's
happen.
gonna beat
gonna be a
him.
rude
He's gonna beat him.
I think it's going to be a rating because he's somebody. I'm with Amber that can counterpunch well. Now we know Deontay has a good chin. I agree with you, Brian, on that.
Okay.
He also has
Yes.
a better jab than Anthony Joshua
Pause.
does.
I'm not
Pause.
100%
Yes,
Because
he
against
does.
Washington, Washington kept Deontay Wilder at
At
bay
bay, yes.
with a jab.
Yeah, but
A
Gerald
jab.
Washington,
Wasn't that impressive.
Gerald Washington's a skilled boxer. First of all,
People
like
think
he
he's
was
skilled
able.
boxer because of what he was able to do against.
But
Deontay
hold
Wilder.
on.
But
Before that,
is he
wasn't.
real?
Huh?
Is Gerald Washington for real?
No, but
Is
is
anybody
Anthony
fearing-
Joshua for real? I don't know that.
Yes, he is.
Why? Because he beat Vladimir Klitschko, who's
No,
like
not
41,
because-
42 years
He was-
old.
He still was impressive in that fight. Are you saying he wasn't?
Did you see his
impressive at
last
all?
fight against Carlos Takam?
No, but I missed it. But I did see some stuff,
was
and he
okay.
was not
He
impressive.
fought down
Right.
to yes. He fought. I feel like he fought down to that level.
But I feel like
So
a lot
why
of-
doesn't Wilder get that same pass?
Because
Wilder's done that 3 times.
He's had 5 passes.
But
But
he
he-
hasn't.
He went against Ariel, who was past his prime, and
Not by
Ariel-
choice either.
No, I'm
And
not.
he
I'm not
destroyed
talking about
Areola.
that.
He
Yeah,
did what he was
because
supposed to do against with
he
one
didn't-
arm.
no.
With one arm.
no.
With one arm.
Chris
Or you
Areola-
weren't impressed. You weren't impressed
No,
when
because
when
Chris
Areola was
Areola
punching him in the
was
stomach and Deontay Wilder was doing this, and then he finally
Yes,
popped him with an
that was
uppercut.
childish,
That was
but
hilarious.
It was hilarious, and I'll give it to Deontay.
I don't want to see
I'll
that
give it to Deontay.
gyration ever again. I really don't.
But if you look at his past 4 or
YouTube
5
it.
fights, it's
Yeah.
Listen, I think what we're saying, all of what we're saying
we're
here,
agreeing.
there are certain things that we agree on, but I think we can all agree. The heavyweight division is not that impressive.
However,
There's so many.
I wanted
big
this fight
boxers
against
in
Ortiz.
there.
I just want to throw that
me
out
too.
there.
Me too.
Because I really thought Ortiz could give it to
Here's the thing.
I think he had a legit chance,
that
too.
Ortiz was the second best heavyweight ahead of Anthony Joshua because I think Luis Ortiz could beat Wilder. I thought he had a very good shot to beat him in this fight. I would have wanted to see that because to me he's the best counterpuncher in the heavyweight division. I wanted to see him face Joshua because he has a lot of amateur experience, more amateur experience than Joshua Wilder because, you know, Cuban school boxing. He's like 38 years old, but when you're a heavyweight, it doesn't matter as much. I thought that Luis Ortiz would give it to Deontay Wilder in this fight, maybe even beat him, but I think Wilder would have ended up knocking him out late. Because he did not look good against Malik Scott either.
I'm not. Listen.
Remember, Luis Ortiz, and Lou DiBella pointed this out accurately, Luis Ortiz, he kind of struggled in that fight with Malik Scott. I mean, he put him, did he knock him down? I don't remember. But he won a decision, and it was an unspectacular showing, and Deontay Wilder knocked Malik Scott out in the first round.
Look, I think that in the heavyweight division. Anything happening to anybody wouldn't surprise me. That's how weak I think the division
So you
is.
just hate the heavyweight division.
I think it's been whacked for quite some time.
Here's the thing.
Like what heavyweight fight am I going to say I'm going to pay for right
This
now?
also makes my point. This
Right.
is why people are so high on Deontay, because we're now getting back to American heavyweight.
And people want that.
No, I disagree.
People want it so bad.
I
They're
disagree.
looking past
I
I
everything.
disagree. I disagree.
I agree.
No.
People want
I
that
don't disagree.
American
I don't
heavyweight so
disagree
badly.
with that. I disagree that people are supporting Deontay Wilder that much. I actually see the opposite, which is why I wrote what I wrote.
Really?
I see that a lot of people.
Those are haters.
I see a lot of people are damning him and giving him flack for those things I told you about before, settling to fight these other guys that aren't really necessarily top flight heavyweights, when really that's all he could do, because the guys that he's fighting is doping. And the heavyweight division would be better if these guys weren't doping. Then you would have seen Wilder against all these
I don't
other
hold
dudes
that.
already.
I don't
He's the one calling out Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua's not calling out anybody. They asked him about fighting Wilder at the end of the fight, and he was like,
The money's not there yet.
Eddie Hearn wants him to
Right.
fight Dylan White, who Anthony Joshua already beat. Deontay Wilder's like, get the out of here.
Look, I don't care about all the stuff when people talk pre-fight. Oh, I want to see this person. I'm calling this person out.
Right.
Show me when it's done and people have signed and the money's on the table and we're going to fight. If that doesn't happen, I can care less. It was like for years when we talked about Mayweather-Pacquiao, and it took us to watch people foolishly spent their money to watch these two guys pass their prime fight. Is that what's going to happen here?
Did you pay for Conor Floyd?
No.
Oh, hell no. I didn't watch it.
I watched Miguel Cotto that night. I didn't watch it either.
Oh, yeah, you
Remember?
I
told you that.
I wasn't with Bryan, but I did the same thing Bryan did. I watched the Miguel Cotto fight that night.
Which was a very good fight.
It was a good fight. I
Yeah.
refused to pay for that trash.
Miguel Cotto, Saddam Ali, December 2nd. I'm going there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cover
represent
that.
for your Puerto Rican brother.
I'm covering that. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a journalist. I don't know what.
Like he isn't proud of Miguel Cotto.
Well, Saddam Ali's from New York City. But back to Deontay Wilder.
Oh God, if you had a boxer from Connecticut, then she'd be
Oh, I'd be. First of all, let me tell you, Tremaine Williams out of New Haven, Ring 1.
There you
He's
go.
coming up. He's with Rock
There you
Nation,
go.
and he's gonna kill it.
There you
Okay.
go.
Okay.
Just be ready.
There you go.
But back to Deontay Wilder briefly, because
Try
I
to
know
dismiss your Connecticut love right
I know we got to
No.
break.
Okay.
I know we got to break because we ain't worried about Connecticut right now. But
See how people come at me?
Oh.
New York people come at me. Like, why? We're not
Some
even.
New York-
we're not at your level.
New
Why are
Yorkers,
you
New
doing
Yorkers
this?
come at everybody. First of all, we
That's
come at
true.
everybody.
We'll come at your neck. But you've handled it well here on the show.
I'm from Connecticut.
Oh,
We hold our own
He
in
laughed.
Connecticut.
Do that,
We
he
hold
laughed.
our own.
I'm not even gonna say
But
anything
I
else
think,
bad.
look,
I'm just gonna let it be.
I think, but back to like to make this come full circle. You brought up an interesting point about Deontay Wilder getting the love from fans, like because they're looking for the heavyweight, and I just don't quite see that. I kind of see more of the opposite, which surprises me because I would think that he has all the credentials to fulfill what a heavyweight, what people will want in a heavyweight, in an American heavyweight. He's 6'7". 38-0 with 37 knockouts. I read you that record, and if you don't even know boxing, you're like, damn, that's good, right? And on top of that, I meant, like, before he fought Bryan the first time in January of 2015, he was, I think, 32-0, 33-0, all wins by knockout,
In the first
4
round.
rounds or less.
Yeah.
First round, second round, third round, fourth round. You can say whatever you want about the competition, but he was knocking off guys that were considered to be contenders, like a Malik Scott, like Bryan, who he ended up beating by decision for the title in a fight that beforehand they were saying Bryan was going to outbox him like easily. And Deontay Wilder lost 1 round tops, and he knocked him down, and they didn't call that knockdown. And since
He's
then,
a
all
freak
he
of
did was
nature. We got it. We know.
he has all the
And he
making.
can only fight
He has
who's in
everything
front of
people,
him.
and I've been saying this for legitimately years now, because I remember saying this as a college student. Like, he has all the makings to be exactly what people want in the heavyweight division in American sports, period.
my
But people
question.
aren't giving him that respect.
My question is, why is that?
Because people
Is it-
don't
is
care.
it-
Because casual fans are looking at it like, oh, the competition he's fighting,
and that's
whatever,
fair.
whatever.
And that's a
Okay.
fair criticism. Why?
But he's tried to fight. See, here's
I'm not
the thing.
knocking.
People don't care about nuance anymore.
I'm not knocking.
I'm about to go on a whole nother tangent.
I'm not knocking Deontay Wilder for saying that. All I'm saying is he can't
You're
be
knocking the
elevated
division.
into that great status of heavyweights because
Right.
this competition is weak, and that's just a fact.
Right.
That's like somebody telling
Okay.
me that Margaret Court, because she's won a whole bunch of titles in tennis, is better than Serena Williams. No, she didn't have to
No.
face the competition Serena Williams faced. So it's not the same. Yeah, we brought tennis up.
Hey,
in here.
I'm a tennis
Well, I'm
fan,
just
don't
going to.
come.
I wanted to compare another individual sport where you go against somebody else, and so that's why I brought up tennis. But my thing is,
go to like the WWE or something.
You know, I'm not even gonna piss off the wrestling community with that. No, I wasn't going to WWE. I wasn't going to that. We talk about real sports on here.
I know a lot of people that will take you out for that comment.
I know a lot of people get
No,
offended.
but
I know a lot
I
of
agree
people
with you.
get offended by
Can
that.
I make a quick comment about
Go
that?
ahead. Yeah.
I put ballet at the same level as WWE. They're both great performing arts. Like they're both great athletes.
Right. I agree
But
with that.
they're not real sports.
So
they're
what you're saying
performances.
is,
Wrestling
yes,
can say this is
I'm
about
with you. I'm with you. Somebody can be great and athletic in something, but that doesn't necessarily make it a sport. Like there's a difference between that or a competition.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
And I think sometimes, you know, you can notice that or see that. But I think sometimes people confuse you. I'm with you on that.
I made that point to a wrestling fan, and they almost like lost it.
Wrestling fans, I think, can be real sensitive about their sport.
It's a sport.
I think the wrestling, in terms of what you see in the Olympics, that's a sport.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think WWE is a sport at all whatsoever.
I don't think it's a sport, but I think it's
what people
extremely
do.
athletic.
I respect their training.
Right. Yes.
But that's.
And I wouldn't say it's fake. It's not fake.
But
But I wouldn't
you.
put it as a sport.
Thank you.
there's some
It's a live action
fake
movie.
elements.
It's
of
a
that.
live action movie, but you could say a similar thing about ballet. If you cover WWE, you should cover ballet. That's my point.
Whoa. All right, we're going to break.
Ballet, and I respect the ballet dancers. We're gonna take a break.
I'm not covering a ballet
have
recital.
to.
I'm sorry. I'm just not doing it.
All right. Well, then you get knocked out. Like you got the strong right from there.
Deontay Wilder's winning on Saturday, by the way, by knockout. He's gonna knock out the only man that he's never knocked out. And then after that, he's gonna beat Anthony Joshua. Watch.
What a shock.
Watch.
Not only are we the president of the Freddie Gibbs fan club, we also have the president of the Deontay Wilder fan club here on this show. When we come back, we're going to talk about Amber running the NYC Marathon and her thoughts on baseball. Baseball season is actually over now, so we'll get her thoughts on that when we come back on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast.
Sports Guru is the place where fans talk about sports via video. All videos are 60 seconds or shorter. Sports Guru makes the video look more professional and fun by adding automated on-screen graphics. You can follow your favorite sports by team, trending, new, or by people you follow, and more. Type in the title of your video and it will auto-magically go into your on-screen graphics. It's just that simple. Tag your teams and publish sports. Let's talk sports.
The best new sports web series is here. It's from Backpack Broadcasting, and it's called The Sports Walk. The Sports Walk is a series where diverse sports fans take a walk and share their views at the intersection of sports and society. The entire first season is now available on Backpack Broadcasting's YouTube channel and backpackbroadcasting.com. See what other sports fans have to say about a variety of issues in the world of sports. Watch all 13 episodes from season 1 and take the Sports Walk today. All right, welcome back to the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Dexter, Henry, Bryan, Fonseca. We are joined by Amber Kountz. She's been having a good time here with us from Connecticut,
Always
repping Connecticut hard.
I can't rep anything else.
A little bit, repping UConn too hard for my liking.
Oh, God. Huskies
And the Jaguars, too hard.
and the Jaguars.
And the Jaguars. But Amber came down here because she is going to be running the New York City Marathon this weekend. I have a lot of respect for people who run marathons.
Word.
You also ran the Chicago Marathon.
Yes, I did.
And, you know, what made you, obviously you've been running. What made you get into running and doing a marathon and doing the New York City Marathon in specifically?
I actually, when I was a kid, I saw the New York City Marathon on television. And I remember turning to my mom and saying, I really want to do this. And then she said, well, look it up. And I remember being too young. And so it's always been a goal when I got older to do it. But it's always been something mental because I grew up playing basketball and tennis. And those are sprinting sports.
Yeah.
So I am a sprinter by nature. So telling myself to
Nice.
run 26.2 miles, it is. In high school, here, let me pause. I'm telling myself.
I'm about to jump on her already.
Because, okay, I ran Chicago when I was in college. I picked up distance running when I got to college because, you know, if you're an athlete in high school and then you go to college and you don't play a sport, it's like you kind of go through this period where it's like,
Feel lost.
yeah, you're like,
Word,
what
yeah.
the heck
Yeah,
do
that
I do
happens.
with myself?
Yeah.
Study?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But
Yeah, nobody
so I had to
studies.
find something to do that kept me, you know, me. And so I picked up distance running, but nothing like 26.2 miles, maybe 10 miles or a 5K or something like that. And then I joined New York Road Runners, So I run in the city often, and I wanted to run Chicago first, just because I knew it was all flat and it would just be a transition.
How long is Chicago? How many miles?
It's the same.
Same thing. All marathons are 26.2.
Oh, okay.
It's just the elevation might be different. So Chicago was just the finish.
This guy knows nothing about running.
I mean,
I ran cross country for a year and track for 4.
I
I'm
don't
I don't
proud
know
of
what you're
you.
talking about.
I don't believe it.
I got trophies in my yo. One
have
day.
trophies?
One day. Hell yeah. I didn't run at a big score.
I
or
think we
anything,
should
but-
do a 40.
Everybody gets participation trophies.
No. It was
Yes, I know,
it was the MVP trophy. I will send. Watch. I will send you the photo later
Did
tonight.
you put the MVP on
I
the
don't see no photo.
No.
You got to bring the trophy here. It could be
All right.
photoshopped.
I
I know.
with me holding it.
Yeah, we want.
I wanted
two
a
extra
picture of you at the time with the trophy. Everything
Yes.
else is just,
I had.
it could just be your word.
Huh?
It could just be your word.
Yeah,
Like you
it
could
could
just,
be.
you could have just got that trophy from anywhere.
That's right.
I don't like this ganging up. Like y'all are supposed to be fighting. Y'all,
Why?
Pitt, UConn, like what?
You know, unlike other things that go on in this country, we can see across differences.
Yeah.
Is this your
and come
affirmative
to a
action,
unity.
Dexter?
No, it's not affirmative action. This is just, hey, we can work together despite the unity BS that we see in the NFL. This isn't that. Maybe we can all link arms and agree on
Oh
something.
my god.
But they're not really agreeing on it.
Yeah, not really good at anything. Anyways, so you got to running. Bryan did not know what the marathon was, but now he knows.
No, I knew what the marathon was. I just didn't know how long the
How long it
Chicago
was.
one was. And I thought it was crazy that of all the things you decided to pick up distance running because you hated distance at one point. Like you couldn't pick up like boxing or something?
Well, I did. I boxed before.
Oh, that shut me up. No, I knew
Yeah.
that.
I used to put on the headgear. I actually sparred this summer, so
Nice.
yeah, I get in there.
Okay.
But no,
wait, you
but
might knock somebody
the other thing about distance running is if you could tell yourself to run 26.2 miles in a time span of maybe 5 hours, 6 hours, not like the Kenyans that do it in like 2.5 hours or something like that.
Right.
Wow.
If you could just finish, that is an achievement in its own.
Oh,
And that's a
absolutely.
mental strength.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying in the beginning of the show, that's why I would want to do it. It's just knowing that I've accomplished that would make me feel so good.
Yeah.
To say, hey, I've done it. So, I'm sure you felt great when you crossed the. Well, I'll
No,
let you say
I
when-
didn't.
Oh, you
No,
didn't finish in Chicago?
So, no, I finished in Chicago,
Okay.
but I literally almost died because, so in Chicago, they kind of bring all the way out to the middle of nowhere. So at that point, I was like, I need to stop. I'm cramping up. I'm not going to finish. And I was like, but I don't know Chicago and no one's out here, so I have to keep going. So literally, I just kept going because I didn't have like anybody there with me. I kind of just decided to do Chicago Marathon. I had a few cousins out there that drove me to the expo or anything, but if I really needed somebody, I really couldn't, and so I had to finish. And when I finished and went over, my entire body shut down.
Wow.
I called out of school for like a week. I didn't go to class for like a week. I actually went to the doctor because I'm like the side of my knee, it felt like strained.
I don't know if this is good. This is like some people be like, why you might not want to run a marathon. Like,
Yeah.
After
No.
somebody's like, I don't want to go through that.
it's gonna be terrible. Like, it's gonna be absolutely terrible.
Wow.
And this one's gonna be even more terrible because Chicago I actually trained for. I did not train for this.
So you've been slacking. So what is your I'm going to leave it at that. But what's your expected time? What's your expected time for the marathon Sunday?
Infinity.
What are you looking to do? What's your goal?
I'm
what
not
time
giving
is
you a
gonna
time, and I'm not giving you a time because then I have to live up to that. And
You're
if
just
I
saying
don't,
finish.
I'm just gonna finish.
You're gonna finish.
I'm just gonna finish, guys.
So it could be 11 p.m. and we can see you as the last person
Heck
crossing
yeah.
the finish line. All right.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
The goal is not to take the subway to the finish line and to just get the free medal. That's what I don't want to do.
We respect it.
So,
because
Brian-
I wouldn't even try it.
Brian, any interest?
See, this
no
bugs
interest
me.
in running a
Why wouldn't you
marathon?
want to try?
I don't run distance, man.
It's mental. Get that out of your head.
Listen, first of all, I don't have time to be doing marathons either.
Yes,
like
you
I don't
do.
want no.
Yes, you
I'm a
do.
sprinter at heart, first of all. Second of all, I don't even run that much now. I'm not, I do cardio in other ways. I don't really run as much as I used to. So and we can leave it at that. Okay, baseball.
Yeah, that was really
I'm a
weird.
big let me go back. I'm a big fitness person. So I
Yes.
used to work out for like 2.5, 3 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
I cut that
Oh,
down,
yeah,
so I
that's
don't
right.
do it as much anymore. So I feel like my cardio is good enough to finish. I'll leave it at that. If I don't cramp up and totally
Last thing,
die.
before we move on, last thing I want do you feel like people respect people who run marathons? Just the training that goes into it, the discipline, what you have to put your body through on that day, but even before and after, 24 hours before. Do you think people respect the work that goes into that?
I think, yeah, absolutely. I think people respect it. Are they going to do it? Probably not. But do they respect it? Yeah.
Same as
I
boxing.
mean, how do you not respect it?
Yeah, we could not respect it like wrestling. That's a whole nother story. Moving on, baseball is over, and from what I've heard from Bryan, that you are not the biggest fan of baseball. Now, I know Bryan's feelings on baseball a little bit. Bryan was on the Sports Walk series I did earlier this summer, and he spoke about, his thoughts about baseball and, the intimidation factors there and people not liking certain celebrations. You're not a big baseball fan. I don't want to put words in your mouth. The season ended last night. Astros won the World Series. Are you happy?
Wait, hold on. Before you even get into that, am I allowed to read the text that you sent me at midnight after the World Series ended?
Edited.
Baseball is so bleeping boring. Tomorrow will be the beginning of the first day I don't have to hear about baseball. Praise, and then there was an emoji there. Yeah.
Okay, so I felt some type of way because
baseball fans have felt some type of way.
I don't even know how to start this because I like going to a baseball game. I like being in the atmosphere. I love going to Yankee game. I love going to Mets game. I go every year. There is a difference between being there at a baseball game and watching it on television, which I will not do. Because it's boring. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a big baseball fan. It's boring.
Boring live,
It's
too.
boring.
I think it's boring live,
Yeah, it's
too.
boring, but if you have a drink in your hand and some fun people, it's fun.
Well,
now it's fun.
I don't drink, so
that makes
that's probably why.
I just find, people are always surprised because I'm a big sports fan, and they're just like, how do you not like baseball? My sister was such a big Yankees fan. I'm just like, it's watching paint dry. There's 100 and something years. There's 100 and something games a summer, and it goes on forever, and no game is really important to the World Series, and I don't even care. But I cared about the World Series because the Yankees were in it, and then I really didn't care. The only reason why I cared about this World Series is because I legit had money on it.
Okay.
Legit, because that's how you have to make baseball entertaining.
Did you win or did you lose?
Well, based on the text message, I lost.
Yeah.
I was going for the Dodgers.
I should have known that, yeah.
I was going for the Dodgers.
I was for the Dodgers, too.
And the person I was going against, we always talk about TV shows. And our TV shows, we bet on, what's going to happen at the end. And so our TV shows...
This is interesting.
Our
We
TV
should have
shows
done that for
ended.
Insecure.
We should have done that for Insecure.
Damn,
It's awesome.
season 3.
You should do it.
We should.
So it ended, so we didn't have anything. And we're like, what are we going to bet on? And I happened to say, what about World Series? And he said, who's in it? And I was like,
damn, he's not into the baseball either.
So I was just like, I'm just gonna go for the Dodgers. He's like, I'll go for the other team. And then he ended up winning.
That's my kind of bet.
So you were.
So that's the only reason why I watched last night and the night before, to see if I would lose.
So you just checked in for the last 2 games. You're like, I'm here for that, and then that's it.
And then I wouldn't even say I watched last night because when the Dodgers went down 5-0, and then there was nothing till maybe the 6th inning.
They scored a run, right?
In the 6th, I was just like, I don't.
Yeah, I tuned out. That shows my interest level. I tuned out and I went to the Knicks. So
what was the?
Not that that
You
was a good
watched
choice.
the Knicks Houston.
Yeah, I'm a diehard basketball fan.
I've been watching not
There you go.
preseason, but I've
Oh,
been watching that more than baseball.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
just
of
me.
course.
I always will go that
That's
way.
what everybody should do. What was the game that they were just hitting mad home runs?
That was game 5.
It sounded
That
like I
was
don't know anything about baseball.
13-12. And Amber's like,
I went to
don't
sleep.
even
I
know.
went to sleep before the 10th inning started. That shows you how much I can. And I've covered baseball this year, like the Mets and high school.
Y'all just not giving baseball any love.
And I hate to
certain
do that, but I
elements-
just don't.
Certain elements of baseball aren't really that diverse and inclusive. So
Oh,
we
yes,
could,
and I agree
we
with
could
you.
also.
And then the whole issue
you know.
last year with flipping the bat, I was like, yeah, let's flip the bat. I said, let's make it more exciting. And then they had an issue with it. And I was like,
Well, certain people in the game have an issue with it, and I found that to be problematic. If you hit, listen, it's hard to hit a baseball, and you can hit that 450 feet. Let me tell you something. If I was good enough to hit a base, they would hate me in the major leagues because I'd be staring at my stuff. I'd be doing all kinds. I'd be moonwalking around the bases. They would hate me.
But this is my thing though, and not to go off on this little soapbox, but a lot of people who are watching sports and things like that they hate that people are celebrating touchdowns, celebrating home runs.
Right.
They would do the same things if they had 2% of their
Of
talent.
course.
So I don't want to get.
And some of these
into, like, the
people
whole thing,
say
but,
this, and they have kids, and they take their kids to like little league games. And
Man,
some of these
shut
parents,
up.
some of these parents are worse.
All of you, shut up.
They're horrible. They're horrible out there.
Honestly.
So no love for baseball. Who are your other teams? We know that you like the Jaguars. Are there any other teams you work for?
Give me like a sport.
Baseball.
Baseball, you know I'm Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah. Basketball.
Bad idea.
Listen, my grandparents like love baseball. So I grew up with.
Makes sense.
My grandparents watch every Yankees game.
Well.
And they're Jeter people, and my sister's a Jeter person. So I'm Yankees, okay? It is what it is.
Basketball.
I'm gonna say this, and you guys are gonna judge me.
Oh, let's do it.
More than the Jaguars?
I almost picked up the mic.
Let me take you back. Back. Remember?
I just want to say you might not be alone because our producer, Matthew Finese, he's a Jazz fan. He's rocking
He
a
has a
jazz
jazz
hat.
hat.
Our assistant producer, Matthew
you.
Panico, he also is a Wizards fan. So it's always interesting. Christina, I have my friend Christina who's here watching the pod. Christina, do you follow any basketball team?
Not anymore.
You're a
Wait,
former
why
Knicks
not?
fan?
Former Knick fan? Former Knick fan?
I am a diehard Knicks fan, and I don't watch because I need my health to be intact.
Okay. So if nobody can hear, she's a former Knicks fan. Who's
That's the
suffering
answer I want.
like myself. I've acknowledged, I said on the show that it's
You gotta
taking
quit.
years off
See,
my life.
you gotta quit. I'm telling you.
Christina's a former Knicks fan. She now has abandoned
That's
that.
funny.
But anyway, I'm sorry. So I'm just letting you know you're among diverse company. And Bryan does not have a team. So who's your team?
Well, I'll give you a little hint. I was a fan of the Knicks last year for 1 year, and that's it. Now, I'll back up because if you remember...
What?
Dexter just backed away from the microphone.
You came on a bandwagon
I said,
for
no.
1 year?
It wasn't a bandwagon because you guys weren't going anywhere.
Oh, so you might be a Derrick Rose fan.
I am a Derrick Rose fan.
I
I follow
saw
Derrick
this
Rose.
was going.
But I have to give my reasoning.
That's
Remember in the NCAA tournament, there was a guy in Memphis where it came down to he had to make one free throw shot. And he missed all three and he lost.
Yeah, national championship.
I remember watching that as a kid and being like, oh my God, I feel so bad. I'm going to be a Memphis fan.
So you're a fan
Forever.
of him out of pity?
No. It wasn't him. A few years later, I saw Derrick Rose come to Memphis, and
Yes,
I was
it
in
was
awe. I was in awe of the way he played. And when I was in high school, I tailored my entire game around Derrick Rose. He was my favorite player. So I told myself, wherever he goes, I'm a fan of that team.
God,
So
one of these fans.
But this is I'm at the point where I'm not a Cavs fan. I cannot be a Cavs fan, but I'm rooting for Derrick Rose.
Wait.
I can't be a
You
Cavs
just
fan.
said you
I love
would
how
follow him
unconventional
to
this is.
wherever he goes,
Because
except for Cleveland.
I hate being a bandwagoner.
But remember
and
what
I
Joe,
feel like if I become a
hold on, but remember what Joakim Noah said about Cleveland. Does anybody really like Cleveland anyway? So I don't blame her for that.
But here's my thing. I feel like a bandwagoner is a person that jumps on a bandwagon when they're doing well.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
Cleveland's doing well.
Cleveland's doing
Well,
well, which is
well,
why
not this
I
year.
don't want to
But-
jump on the
but-
bandwagon.
but-
But when he came to
yeah.
the Knicks, you act like Carmelo was going to do something with him.
Wait, when Carmelo came to Knicks?
No, and when Carmelo was going to play with Joakim and Derrick Rose last year, you act like they were going to do something with
I'm going
that.
to say this, and you don't even know, but I actually thought last year the Knicks, foolishly, were going to do something.
Wow.
And then, by January, I realized the error of my ways, and I was pretty disgusted. And,
You're getting.
yeah, I was disgusted. I don't have anything else
But
to
I
say
feel like
besides
you
that.
guys are going through a cleansing. Like
absolutely.
You had to get rid of Melo.
Yeah, we had
It
to.
go.
Bryan knows I was supportive of this. They had to.
Bryan what?
What I need
But they
to
didn't get anything back, which was the problem.
They probably weren't going to get much back. But what I really need to do is I need to do what my friend Christina, who's watching the podcast here, and probably remove myself from the Knicks, save some years on my life of stress and other stuff, so that I'll be better. I'm getting older. I don't stress him as much as I used to. But look at Bryan. See how he's chilling over here? He has no team. He's not worrying about anything.
I grew up a Jet fan,
Well, Payne then too.
and I quit in 2014.
quit.
Yes, you can.
I don't believe
First of all, diehard, super diehard fandom is overrated to me.
It probably is. I can't even disagree with
Because
that.
it's it costs money and you give off it's
It's
stressful.
not money,
and
it's just
first of all,
parts.
the whole reason why I'm not a fan of the Jets, and not to turn this whole mad serious
boy.
or whatever, but I don't rock with Woody Johnson and how the fans treated Geno Smith, who we know is obviously he's black, and how they regardless of whether you think he's good or not, they kind of treated him a certain way. and they wanted like Matt Sims to play, and I just couldn't rock with the fan base. So I was like,
No, you
y'all
know.
could
Yeah, I
y'all
can
could
see
deal
that.
with never winning a Super Bowl until the year 3001 when we're all when we're all in heaven, you know, all that stuff.
I can see that.
We'll
I
see.
can agree with you.
All right. So basketball. Do we touch any other teams?
Hockey?
Hockey? Do you watch any hockey?
I'm gonna go to my first professional hockey game.
Who are you going to see play?
I'm gonna see the Rangers.
Good choice.
Well, not this year.
excited.
Not this year. They're like 4-7, aren't they?
Listen, it's the
It's still early.
experience.
It's still early.
I only know that because Mike told us earlier.
Anything else? The soccer?
Oh, don't ask me about soccer. No, I don't know anything about soccer.
Okay.
I want to. Like whenever America goes against another team, I'm like,
Oh, well,
yeah.
well, you won't see that. You won't-
USA.
Does Connecticut have a soccer team?
We do. New Haven.
New Haven.
New Haven was really good.
Yeah.
Wait,
Can't
what?
give you any details on
New
it.
Haven's team is what? What are they? They're the It's escaping me right now. See, nobody cares about Connecticut.
I'm gonna let that slide because
We're gonna
we're,
let that
we're at
slide.
the end of.
We're at the end of the road.
and I could only give so much to
But
defend
what I will
hood.
say is you're kind of like our producer Matt, where your teams are very much all over the place. You got a team here, you got a team there, which is a good
I think
thing.
the key is we're loyal. We stick with our teams. Can't say that about everybody.
That's a shot at the
Can't
people.
say that about everybody.
Whoa. I was like playing with my beard, and I'm like, wait, what are you talking
just
about?
saying,
Talking about you.
I can't say that about everyone.
She's talking about you.
Loyalty is overrated also. In some aspects.
In sports or life?
Yeah, like if we go into a life thing right here, that's what I feel like we're doing.
Well, I'm not talking about like life. I'm talking about like just loyalty to a fan base and
No, he was
players and things like that.
Yeah.
Because if you're
Do you want to let something out?
Look, if you're loyal to some, like, let's say you're a fan of X artist, right? And they get arrested for something, like domestic abuse. You're supposed to ride with them and be loyal with them, like, you know, throughout all that. And then
I mean, people been riding with R. Kelly for a long time. I don't agree with that, but people do it, and I don't agree with it, and I think that's quite ridiculous. So I'm with you. I hear what you're saying.
Do you think I would?
Do you think you would ride with Freddie Gibbs? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes,
I was gonna say. Hold on.
Because of what I said. I can't. I have not yet been able to tap into the logic of people who do that. So Freddie Gibbs might do something that's totally messed up.
Well, the
Not saying
reason
he's
why I
gonna be R.
brought it up
Kelly,
is because he had the rape case.
but he was
acquitted because he didn't do it. He didn't
And there
even
was
hug the
nothing-
girl.
right.
But what I'm telling you is, do you think, and you're going to say yes, you're going to say yes, you're going to say yes, I don't know what you're going to say. But if he actually did the rape case and was spending time in the jail in Austria right now for however, God knows how long, do you think I would still be riding with him now?
Knowing you as a person, I would say no.
Oh.
Yes.
All right.
Even though you do love Freddie Gibbs a little bit too deeply.
I think you would
His
hate
music,
him as a person.
his music,
But
his
his music you would still listen to.
But here's the thing, like, in some cases, you can't really separate the art from the artist. I feel like in those cases, you should be able to.
I happen to.
With Chris, like a lot
I
of
happen
people
to
don't
agree
do that
with
with
you.
Chris Brown.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
men in general get a huge pass for some of this bad behavior that they've done, whether it's in sports or music. And people like to try to give him passes and say Chris Brown has got that, or Kelly has got that. It's shameful.
Yeah.
But we're not here for that.
Yeah.
So we're not here for that. We got to go. We want to thank Amber. I know it was so short. You had a good time. We was getting into it. We was about to get on you some more about you topping teams and liking the Jaguars.
I wanted to hear more about you guys because you guys just came on top of me all day about Connecticut. Yet, when was the last time you guys were in Connecticut? Exactly. I don't want to hear no more.
I was there last week. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
damn, that's actually true.
For business.
Yeah.
You need to come up there to like
Wait,
enjoy
people,
yourself.
pleasure?
people go there for pleasure?
I'm there. You gotta come
I
visit
know.
me.
We will gladly come and visit you.
You guys are rude. You see this? You see them coming at me? I'm trying to give Connecticut a good vibe. Come see the leaves or whatever, you know.
Come
the
see the leaves.
foliage.
We got leaves
when,
in New York.
When you got to tell
They're
people to
all on the
come, you got to
ground.
say
It's
come and
not
see
like
the
New
leaves.
England foliage.
When you got to say come and see the leaves, it's time for us to leave. That's all I'm gonna say. Amber, thank you. We want you to keep up the great work.
Deontay Wilder Saturday.
We also want to wish you luck in the marathon.
Thank you.
And we
Thank
hope that you finish. I'm gonna go for under 5 hours.
You want to put some money on that?
Nah, I'm not gonna
I
put
like
any
to bet
on
money,
that.
clearly.
No. I
More
will not.
interesting.
I will not put any money on that. but
When does the marathon start? What time?
I start at 10:15.
10:15.
I think it starts at 9. I am
9,
the
that's
second
correct.
wave, guys.
Nice.
Green wave. You know what that
I
means.
think-
Go. We
okay.
not stopping anytime soon.
Okay, so you're saying 5 hours?
Yeah, I'm going 5 hours.
I'll go Tuesday night.
That's messed up. That's real messed up. That's real messed up. You know what, Amber?
I'm gonna do it in 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'm gonna break a whole different way. No,
You might break down. I don't know about that. But Amber, we wish you luck. We thank you for coming on, being a guest. We'd love to have you back, and we will try to visit Connecticut.
Y'all ain't gonna do it, but okay.
Wow.
I mean, I am going in January.
No faith.
Yeah.
Matt will.
Now, even our producer Matt. Connecticut? Anybody?
I was
Anybody
riding
from
with you with the jazz hat. You can't.
No. Connecticut is not. You know what?
Matt, you'll fit right in.
We will say that we love.
Y'all
We love.
so-
We will say that we love Connecticut. We thank Amber again. Thank you everybody for listening, watching this episode of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. More to come next week. The guests just keep getting better.
And so do we, hopefully.
And hopefully we keep getting better. We thank you for watching, listening to this episode of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast.
Freddie Gibbs on tour next month.